It's time for a high school baseball on the NCW Life Channel. Today's broadcast is presented by The Walkabout Grill, Global Car Care, Leonard Evans Used Car Superstore, and Confluence Health. Now let's head to the Diamond for live play-by-play of high school baseball on the NCW Life Channel.
Show continues here at Recreation Park along with Jeff Zender. I'm Eric Grandstrom. Well, Coach, you guys are on a nice little run here. Let's talk about, first of all, the game you played against these guys earlier this week.
Well, we came out hitting the ball right out of the chute. We had 14 hits and scored some runs early, so we had a great performance by Keegan Romig and just a good outing.
Well, let's talk about this run here. 7 games in a row. Your only 2 losses were non-leaguers to start the season. What's the difference between then and now?
Throwing the ball over the plate. We had a little bit more consistency on the hill, and we would for surely like a shot at those guys that we played early.
Well, possibly. Let's first things first. Right. Doubleheader today. Tell us about who's going on the mound for you.
We have Eddie Hamilton throwing today, game 1. Eddie's been very consistent for us. He's been throwing a lot of strikes, getting a lot of ground balls, so we're hoping for another good outing from Eddie.
Talk about the little things that you work on these guys with. I mean, baseball fundamentals are what they are, but you work on so many little things. I mean, we watch you over in the third base coach's box, and you're telling guys to reach to a certain side of the bag if a throw's coming in, and just those little things make a whole lot of difference, don't they? Yeah,
you hope down the road, not for that game, but, usually it's down the road. Hopefully stuff like that will click in, and yeah, there's a lot of coaching going on with other guys in the dugout, and we're fortunate to have some good quality coaches to keep kids on track.
Your prominence in the Big Nine year after year is really becoming a tradition around here, and winning is a tradition. Now you got 7 wins in a row with a lot of new guys this year. Is that kind of contagious?
Yeah, there's an expectation within the program right now, and our kids, got to give credit to the kids. We've had some great athletes early on that has just sets the expectation, and it just kind of trickles down, and these kids now, this young group has seen those kids and how successful they've been, and it's contagious.
Well, good luck today, and keep everybody healthy. That's the most important thing.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Jeff Zender joining us here on the pregame show. We'll come back and take a look at today's starting lineup for Game 1 coming up next here on the NCW Life Channel. Welcome back once again here to Recreation Park in Wenatchee on a sun-splashed Friday afternoon. A good Friday to you and happy Easter weekend. Eric Grandstrom along with you as we get ready for baseball here today. First of 2 on the NCW Life Channel between the Wenatchee Panthers, the home team, taking on the Eisenhower Cadets, the visitors. Let's take a look at the lineups here. First for the visitors, as announced by their head coach Roger Guzman. He's assisted by Gabe Stotts. The lineup here for the Cadets coming in with a record of 4-8 overall, 3-7 in Big Nine play. Batting first and playing at shortstop, let me get the right side here. John McDonald, he's a third baseman getting the leadoff spot here for the IKE Cadets. Batting second is shortstop Hunter Meyer. Batting third, the DH is Matt Stump. Batting fourth is first baseman John Morelez. Batting fifth in left field, Preston White. Batting sixth, right fielder William Sherry. Batting 7th, the catcher is Tanner Frost. Batting 8th, center fielder Justin Dean. And batting 9th is the second baseman Drew Cornegie. That's the lineup here for the Eisenhower Cadets. Meanwhile, for the Wenatchee Panthers, as announced by their head coach Jeff Zender. Zender is assisted by David Garza, Stephen Tebow, and Gary Llewellyn. The starter here today for the Panthers, and let's get you the batting lineup. Ben McKay will bat to lead off, playing at shortstop. Batting second, center fielder Mikey Thomas. Batting third, first baseman Seth Storley. Batting cleanup today for Coach Zender is the catcher Ronan Haynes. Batting fifth is the pitcher Eddie Hamilton. Batting sixth, third baseman Bryce Peters. Batting seventh at second base, Thomas Blakeney. Batting eighth is the DH, Shane Huffaker. And batting ninth is right fielder David Snyder. It'll be Austin Rowe on the mound for Eisenhower, facing the Wenatchee Panthers here today. Panthers coming in with a record of 7-2 overall, 7-0 in Big Nine play. We'll take a break and come back with your first pitch right after this timeout. Welcome back once again to Rec Park as we head to the bottom of the first. Do it for the Panthers, Ben McKay, Mikey Thomas, and Seth Storley. Top of the order here in the bottom of the first. Appreciate you joining us here on the NCW Live Channel. Eric Grandstrom with you. We've got Michael Price out there running camera in center field, so things reversed from my perspective because from Michael's angle out there, I am back behind home plate in the big purple and gold W behind home plate here at Recreation Park with the artificial surface on the infield, including the dirt, quote-unquote dirt. There is no dirt. That brown that you're seeing on television right now is an artificial grass, if you will. That is the same length as the green of the infield, and then the outfield natural grass. So Ben McKay will lead it off here for Wenatchee. We mentioned the two teams met earlier this week on Tuesday down in Yakima, with Wenatchee coming out on top 12-1. Apologies for the late start today. We'll tell you more about that. The first pitch is taken for a strike, 0-1 the count. As Austin Rowe pitches on the mound here for Eisenhower, Tanner Frost is his battery behind home plate. The 0-1 pitch on the way to McKay, swung on and missed. Count goes to 0-2. Eisenhower has seemed to have problems with their busing this year. Earlier in the basketball season, they were late getting to a matchup with Wenatchee, and it was a bus driver issue. The 0-2 pitch is bouncing in for a ball. 1-2 the count to McKay. Apparently, the bus driver had some sort of a Seahawks thing going on. I don't know if he was at a game or he was watching a game or it was about the playoff time. Pitch swung on and jammed in towards the third baseman, and John McDonald to his left will field and throw. And the Ben McKay, the batter, looked right behind him as soon as he swung and thought maybe he'd been interfered with by the catcher. Still kind of talking to the home plate umpire, who is shaking his head saying no. And so gone, 5-3 is Ben McKay for the first down here in the first. That'll bring up center fielder Mikey Thomas. Thomas, a senior here for Wenatchee, will step into the right-handed batter's box. But today also an issue with bus drivers because they had a bus driver on a road trip yesterday, and they need so much rest in between the times they drive, and the bus driver didn't have it. And so as a result, they had to delay their departure from Yakima to come up here today for the game. So we're an hour late on the start today for the first in of a doubleheader. The 1-0 count and pitch is a little outside with that fastball. Count goes to 2-0. On Mikey Thomas. Thomas went 3 for 4 and had 5 RBI and 3 runs in a game earlier this week. Wenatchee coming out on top over IKE in 5 innings by a score of 12-1. This pitch swung on and fouled back out of play. The count goes to 2-1. Starting to rethink the parking job of my pickup truck out there already. The 2-1 pitch, strike called on the inside corner, evens the count to Thomas at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Good to get a chance to visit with head coach Jeff Zender before the ball game. The 2-2 pitch on the way, swung on the ground and through the gap, and that's going to get into left field for a base hit. Nice job staying with it and staying with the count there by Mikey Thomas. Just took that pitch that was low and inside and took it right where it was pitched and drilled it between Hunter Meyer and John McDonald at short and third. So Wenatchee in business here with 1 down and 1 on, and that'll bring up the first baseman, Seth Storley. Short lead over at first by Thomas, and the pitch to the plate is across with an off-speed pitch for a strike, 0-1 the count. We finished up the pregame interview, and Zender turned to jog away from us out there in our center field position where we did the interview, and he says, "Hey, the kokanee are biting." The pitch is low and in outside. Now a delayed steal, but down to second base in time with a head-first slide is Mikey Thomas. So give him a stolen base. And the count now even to Seth Storley at 1 ball and 1 strike, and that's something that Coach Zender loves to do, is put the game in motion, as he does here early on in a scoreless contest. Wenatchee here in the bottom of the first with a runner in scoring position. Got a timeout call. That was a heck of a curveball. And we got a balk call by the home plate umpire. So down to third goes Thomas on a balk. Apparently, according to the home plate umpire, Austin Rowe did not come set at the waist for the count that he needed. And now infield drawn up on the corners here for Eisenhower. The pitch to the plate swung on, and a high fly ball to deep right center. Center fielder over to his left on the run will make the catch. But tagging at third and scoring on the play is Mikey Thomas, and Wenatchee leads it 1-0. So give an RBI on the sacrifice fly to Storley. 2 outs here for Wenatchee, and that'll bring up catcher Ronan Haynes. Rowe, quick worker on the mound with a curveball to the left-handed stick of Ronan Hayes, misses outside for ball 1. 1-0 the count. Rowe ready for the next delivery. It's a swing and a miss on a pitch that was actually low and outside. Count evens to Haynes at 1 ball and 1 strike. Ronan 2 for 4 in the game earlier this week with a double and a couple of RBIs. Wenatchee on top 1-0 here, bottom of the first. This pitch is low for ball 2, 2-1. So Wenatchee started the season on a losing note. Couple of games out of the box, falling to Richland 6-1 and then Sumner 12-1. And haven't lost since. This pitch swung on and grounded up the first baseline. Ricochets off the fence in front of the dugout on the first base side, on the IKE side of the field. The count even to Haynes at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 in, 2 outs, and the 2-2 pitch. Swung on a high fly ball to right field, but plenty of room out there for William Sherry, and he'll make the catch for the out, and that'll do it for Wenatchee. But they do get a run on a base hit, nobody left. We'll head to the second. Wenatchee 1, IKE 0. You're watching Panther Baseball on the NCW Life Channel. One nothing Panthers on top as we head to the top of the second, scheduled for 7 here in the first end of 2 games on the NCW Life Channel. In between the games, we'll stand by. We'll have the NCW Life Channel news for you right here on your local TV station. John Morales, Preston White, and William Sherry do up here in the second after IKE was retired in order on 8 pitches by Eddie Hamilton in the first. So we'll see if Eisenhower stays with that aggressive approach at the plate for the sophomore stepping up, who plays first base, batting from the left side. And the first pitch to him is low and bouncing in for a ball, 1-0 the count. So Wenatchee's biggest challenge since their first 2 losses was a game actually we did here several weeks ago against Davis. This pitch swung on and fouled back and evens the count at a ball and a strike. The front end of a doubleheader here at Rec Park had Wenatchee winning 2-0. That's really the only challenge they've had in this 7-game winning streak. They beat Davis 12-2 and then 2-0 here and then 15-6. This pitch swung on and lifted in the air, but it's going to be right to the second baseman, Thomas Blakeney, who will make the catch for the out. 1 down here in the second brings up the left fielder, Preston White. Wenatchee blanks Sunnyside 10-0. And then in a twin bill, beat the Grizzlies 12-zip and 13-3. And then, as we mentioned earlier this week, beat Eisenhower 12-1. So, been a bunch of double-digit wins and short games for the Panthers. Preston White takes the first pitch for a strike. Hangs around that right-handed batter's box. And the next pitch is a strike on the inside corner. 0-2 the count. The 0-2 pitch swung on in a line drive, soft line drive, right to Thomas Blakeney, and that's his 3rd put out of the game. So 2 down here in the second. That'll bring up right fielder William Sherry. Our broadcast today brought to you in part by AC Checkered Taxi Cab, Neil's Boots and Shoes, and Quick Lube and Tune. First pitch to Sherry is swung on and fouled back, and again Eisenhower being very aggressive at the plate here against Eddie Hamilton, who has proven to throw it across the plate. So the Cadets trying to jump on it here early. The 0-1 pitch from Hamilton, look out, high and inside, bounces off the catcher's glove and trickles back to the backstop. Count evens at a ball and a strike to William Sherry. Lush green hills now marking spring in the Wenatchee Valley. This pitch swung on and missed, and way out in front of that one was Sherry, and the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. But gotta love this time of year here in the Wenatchee Valley. Green hills hugging our valley. Stark contrast with that clear blue sky. This pitch misses low and away, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. In a gorgeous setting here at Recreation Park, as it's been for decades here in the Wenatchee Valley. The 2-2 pitch is swung on and missed, and that's going to do it. So again, 3 up, 3 down, the story for Eisenhower in their half of the second. We'll head to the bottom of the second. Wenatchee on top, 1-0. You're watching Panther baseball here on the NCW Life Channel. Thanks for joining us here for baseball this afternoon. First of a doubleheader on the NCW Life Channel. Eddie Hamilton, Bryce Peters, and Thomas Blakeney do up for Wenatchee here in their half of the second, leading Eisenhower by a score of 1-0. Cadets with those red uniform tops, trimmed in blue and white. White pants. The Panthers in their home whites, trimmed in purple and gold. Latest rankings came out with the coaches poll across the state. Wenatchee now ranked 7th in the state. The curveball here is a called strike taken by Eddie Hamilton, 0-1 the count to the pitcher for the Wenatchee Panthers. Another local team is ranked in the top 10. This pitch swung on, and if he didn't swing at that, it would have hit him. 0-2 the count on Hamilton. Cashmere off to another great start for Coach Nelson out there with the Bulldogs. They are ranked 3rd in the latest poll in 1A baseball. Little bit of a breeze blowing. It's kind of been cycling around right now, slightly out to left here at Rec Park. 0-2 pitch from Austin Rowe is high and away for a ball. 1-2 the count to the leadoff man here in the second for Wenatchee, Eddie Hamilton. The 1-2 pitch, low and inside, look out. Arm slot kind of floating around a little bit here for Austin Rowe on the mound. The lefty ready for the delivery on the 2-2 pitch. Curveball swung on and hit in the air towards left center. A run for the center fielder Justin Dean, but he's able to track it down for the out. So 1 down here in the second. That'll bring up third baseman Bryce Peters. Coming up this weekend here on the NCW Life Channel, we've got soccer tomorrow on the rebroadcast. Eastmont and Wenatchee from back on that March 28th contest. That's tomorrow at 2 o'clock here on the NCW Life Channel. Taking the first pitch is Bryce Peters for a strike, 0-1 the count. That'll be followed at 7 o'clock tomorrow by Eastmont and Eisenhower, game from last Friday. The 0-1 pitch on the way to the plate is a strike. Well, the Mariners are off to a struggle this season, to say the least. This pitch is just outside. Didn't miss by much. Thought maybe home plate umpire Cody Brigshaw was going to ring him up on a strikeout looking. But 1-2 the count to Bryce Peters here with 1 down in the second. This pitch swung on and lifted in the air, and the shortstop camps underneath of it right on the edge of the grass. And Hunter Meyer makes the catch for the out. So 2 down here in the second brings up the second baseman, Thomas Blakeney. So it was nice to not have a Mariner game yesterday and have something positive. Of course, they had to reach back 2 decades to find something positive to talk about. But how can you do any worse than a statue unveiling of Ken Griffey Jr. out in front of Safeco Field? Well deserved, that's for sure. Baseball in the Northwest, professional baseball in the Northwest, saved by that guy. Strike taken here by Thomas Blakeney. Evens the count to the ball and a strike. 2 down for Wenatchee here in the second. Eddie Hamilton flew out to center. Bryce Peters popped out to the shortstop, and the 1-1 pitch is low for ball 2. Number 7 man in the lineup here for Wenatchee. Back in the right-handed batter's box, and the 2-1 delivery by the left-hander Austin Rowe on the way to the plate, swung on and fouled back, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mariners trying to right the ship. Will take on Texas tonight at Safeco Field. First of a weekend series. Replica statue night for that King Griffey Jr. statue. The 2-2 pitch on the way, swung on a miss, and that'll do it for Wenatchee here in the second. So to the third we go. Still Wenatchee 1 and Eisenhower nothing. You're watching Panther Baseball today on the NCW Life Channel. Gorgeous afternoon in the Wenatchee Valley for baseball here today on the NCW Life Channel. As we head to the top of the third inning, it'll be the bottom third of the order due up for Eisenhower. Tanner Frost, Justin Dean, and Drew Cornegie due up here for Ike. And so far, Eddie Hamilton has been money for Wenatchee. First pitch to Tanner Frost is a strike on the inside corner. 0-1 the count to Tanner. Sophomore catcher for Eisenhower. He'll be followed by the center fielder Justin Dean and second baseman Drew Cornegie. The 0-1 pitch on the way to the plate is low and inside for a ball. 1-1 the count. What is it? First 42,000 at Safeco Field tonight, getting a mini replica of the new statue out front of the stadium of King Griffey Jr. A curveball strike, beautiful pitch. Count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. Tanner Frost thought about waving that bat. Took it for a strike. The 1-2 pitch swung on a fly ball right at the right fielder. Coming in, David Snyder, just a few steps, makes the catch for the out. 1 out here in the third, brings up center fielder Justin Dean. Appreciate you joining us here today on the NCW Life Channel. Dan Kuntz, our producer engineer here at the site, making his way between the Apple Bowl where we have our cameras set up. First pitch here misses low and inside for a ball to Justin Dean. And then our broadcast location here behind home plate. So stretching across the field. This pitch stretches over the pitcher's head, but right there is the shortstop. Nice play by Ben McKay, ranging to his left, fields the ball over the top of the second base bag and is able to throw it in time for the out. 6-3 on the putouts on Justin Dean. And 8 up, 8 down here for Eisenhower. That'll bring up second baseman Drew Cornegie. Another sophomore in the lineup for head coach Roger Guzman. And the pitch swung on, and I think this might drop down for a base hit. It does, right in front of Mikey Thomas. So the first man reaches here in the game. The 9th man to come to the plate in the game, Drew Cornegie. So 1 on, 2 down, and back to the top of the order for third baseman John McDonald.
Third baseman, number 9, John McDonald.
So Seth Sorley over there at first base will try to keep him close, and the pitch to the plate is a strike. Thought that might have been a little high, but a strike called to John McDonald. McDonald 0 for 1 of the ball game, grounded out to short in his first at bat to start off the game on the first pitch of the game. Step off and look over by Hamilton towards the bag at first, where Sorley is holding Cornegie close. And the pitch here swung on a fly ball and should be easy play for Mikey Thomas out there. He'll take a couple of steps to his right and make the catch for the out, and that'll do it. So no harm, no foul. They get a runner aboard on a base hit. They leave a man. We'll head to the bottom of the third. 1-0 Wenatchee on top of Eisenhower. You're watching Panther Baseball on the NCW Life Channel. Welcome back once again here to Recreation Park in Wenatchee. Historic grounds. What you can't see on the camera is the ivy that covers the wall out there in center field, kind of like Wrigley. It's still early in the year, so not many leaves on the ivy out there yet. 1-0 Wenatchee on top. Shane Huffaker will lead it off here in the third. He's the DH. He's batting for the left fielder, Josh Holcomb. First pitch to him as he squares to bunt, takes it high with a fastball. 1-0 the count to Shane Huffaker. He'll be followed by David Snyder and Ben McKay, number 8, 9, and 1, due up here for Wenatchee in the bottom of the third. Curveball misses low for ball 2. Nice to see the outfield in a lot better shape than the last time we were here. It was soggy out there as the snows had just melted, and we walked out there for a pregame interview with Coach Zender and had wet feet for the rest of the night. 3-0 count to Huffaker, and the pitch to the plate by Rowe is taken all the way for a strike. 3-1. Eisenhower started off the season on the short side to Chief Self. They beat Chief Self 9-5. This pitch swung on and fouled back, and the count now full to Huffaker at 3-2. Then Hazen beat up on the Cadets 16-1. Then Eastmont took care of business, beating Ike 14-4 and 18-10. This pitch taken for a ball. So a leadoff walk here for Wenatchee in the third, and that'll bring up right fielder David Snyder. Ike did come back and win the final game of that 3-game set with Eastmont, 11-10. And then beat Davis 7-5. Then a doubleheader with the Pirates. They lost both ends of it, 15-5 and 6-2. Then they split with Sunnyside. This pitch is bunted up the third baseline. Beautiful bunt. Third baseman comes in, fields, and throws. John McDonald over to John Morelez. So a sack bunt. Down to second goes Huffaker. 5-3 on the putout. 1 out here for Wenatchee. Back to the top of the order for shortstop, Ben McKay.
That is the shortstop. Number 7, Ben McKay.
Ike falling to Sunnyside in the second end of a doubleheader, 8-6, and then, as we mentioned, lost to Wenatchee earlier this week, 12-1. This pitch swung on and hit hard but foul up the third baseline. And the count 0-1 on Ben McKay, who's 0-for-1 in the ball game. He grounded out to third in his first plate appearance back in the first. 1-0 Wenatchee on top. Trying to add to it here with 1 out and a runner in scoring position. Turnaround look and diving back for the bag out there is Shane Huffaker. And now the catcher, Tanner Frost, wants to come out and have a conversation with Austin Rowe. Still seems odd to have this artificial surface all the way around the infield here. So that brown out there is basically carpet. It's a very short shag, if you will. So diving back to the bag, you don't get your uniform dirty at all. It just doesn't seem right. 0-1 the count to McKay here. And the pitch to the plate is low, goes all the way to the backstop, but counts right back to the catcher. Throw down to third base, and no, they're going to say he's safe at third. My, oh my, I thought the throw beat him. As sliding into third base was Shane Huffaker on a wild pitch. I thought Tanner Frost had him dead to rights down there as that ball caromed off the wood behind the home plate. The count even now to McKay at 1-1 strike. Pitch to the plate, curve taken for a strike, and the count 1-2. A little breath of wind comes through the box here. A little breezy now from right field to left field here at Rec Park. The 1-2 pitch to McKay bounces in for a ball, evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hopefully not buffeting our cameraman, Michael Price, up there on top of the press box too much. The 2-2 pitch is a curveball bouncing in. Nice stop by Tanner Frost behind the plate. The count goes to 3-2 on McKay. So as you're looking at it at home, the breeze blowing from left to right on your view, looking over the pitcher's shoulder, Austin Rowe. The 3-2 pitch is inside for ball 4. So the second walk of the inning here, given up by Austin Rowe, puts runners on the corners for Wenatchee. That'll bring up the center fielder, Mikey Thomas.
That is the center fielder, number 22, Mikey Thomas.
Thomas with a base hit, and he scored Wenatchee's only run back in the first. on a sac fly by Seth Storley after he got down to second on a stolen base, moved to third on a balk, and then scored on the sac fly by Seth Storley. So 2 on and 1 down for Wenatchee. Eisenhower hoping for the double play ball here in a 1-0 contest. The pitch to the plate by Rose swung on and popped up in the infield behind home plate. And let's see if they're going to have a catcher. Yep, Tanner Frost will make the catch behind home plate for the out. So tough luck there for Mikey Thomas. So popped in foul territory for the second out, and that'll bring up first baseman Seth Storley. So Seth's going to have to do it the old-fashioned way and earn it here for Wenatchee. We hope it doesn't happen, but if it does, we wanted to mention here that our injury timeouts brought to you by Confluence Health, Wenatchee's premier treatment center for all sports-related injuries. Appreciate Confluence Health sponsoring us here on the NCW Life Channel. This pitch swung on and lipped in the hole for a base hit, and a run's going to score. Wenatchee on top by a score of 2-0. First pitch to Seth Storley was a little low and inside. He went down and got it and drilled it between the gap of the shortstop and the third baseman for an RBI as Huffaker comes home to score on the play. Down to second goes Ben McKay, and that'll bring up the catcher Ronan Haynes. So a little 2-out magic here for Wenatchee to lead it now 2-0. And the first pitch, a hefty swing by Haynes, missing for strike one. Oh, 0-1 to the sophomore catcher for Wenatchee. The pitch here swung on and fouled away behind home plate on the third base side, and the count goes to 0-2. But again, Confluence Health, Wenatchee's premier treatment center for all sports-related injuries, sponsoring us here on the NCW Life Channel. The 0-2 pitch to Haynes swung on and again fouled back behind home plate. The count remains at 0-2. Inning began on a walk to Huffaker. Got down to second on a sacrifice bunt by David Snyder, moved to third on a wild pitch, and then scored on the RBI single by Seth Storley with 2 outs. Now a timeout taken late by the home plate umpire. No, he's going to say another balk. So the runners will move up 90 feet. So down to third goes McKay, down to second goes Storley. And now if Ronan Haynes can put this ball through the defense, that would score 2. The 0-2 pitch on the way to the plate is missing low and outside for a ball. 1-2 the count. Soccer coming up next door tonight. Wenatchee Panthers at home tonight. And what's turned into be their final home game of the season, in the regular season, I should say, for the Panthers Soccer Club here tonight at home. 1-2 the count as Austin Rowe delivers. It's a little low. 2-2 the count on Ronan Haynes. Ben McKay starts his lead over at third base in foul territory. And the 2-2 pitch from Rose lifted in the air but fouled down the left field line, and that's going to be out of the reach of anybody trying to scramble after it. So the count remains at 2-2 strikes. First of 2 games here today on the NCW Life Channel. Appreciate you joining us. Out here at the ballpark along with Dan Kuntz and Michael Price, Becca Freemuth back in the studios. And the 2-2 pitch again swung on and hit hard on a hop right to the second baseman. Fumbled it for a moment. Now will toss in time to get the out, and that will retire the side. But not before Wenatchee gets a run on a base hit. 2 men left. We'll head to the 4th inning of play. Wenatchee on top 2-0. You're watching Panther Baseball on the NCW Life Channel. Struck out swinging in the first. So 1 out for Eisenhower. Scoreboard reads no runs, 1 hit, and no errors for Ike. 2 runs, 2 hits, and no errors for Wenatchee. The first pitch taken low and outside for a ball to Matt Stump as we're in the top of the 4th inning here at Recreation Park. 1-0 the count on Matt Stump. The 1-0 pitch is way outside for a ball. Goes to 2-0. John Morales due up next here for Eisenhower. Breeze continues to blow from right to left here at the ballpark. This pitch low and inside for a ball. 3-0 the count on Stump. Couple of strikeouts here in the ball game so far for Eddie Hamilton. This is his first 3-ball count of the game. This pitch is low for a ball. And so he gave up his first walk here with one down in the fourth. So Hamilton, a little collection time, will work from the stretch for the second time of the ball game. Just the second base runner of the contest for Eisenhower. As John Morales comes up, he popped out to the second baseman in the second. As pitch swung on and fouled up the first baseline. And the count 0-1 on Morales. Appreciate you joining us here on the NCW Life Channel. Our broadcast brought to you by Global Car Care, Wenatchee's friendly expert auto repair specialist. And Confluence Health, safe, high-quality care with compassion. Toss to the bag at first. The ball goes past the first baseman. Karem's off the backstop over there. And down to second, scampering on an error goes Matt Stump. So it'll be E1 on the throw by Eddie Hamilton. As Stump races down to second base, and Seth Storley had to chase that ball down in foul territory over beyond the dugout on the first base side. The 1-1 pitch to the plate is a curveball low. Excuse me, that was the first ball. So 1-1 the count now to John Morales. Preston White on deck, hoping for a shot here maybe to tie this ball game up as Wenatchee leads it 2-0. The 1-1 pitch is swung on and fouled back, and the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. Our broadcast also brought to you by Leonard Evans Used Car Superstore, where the name means a great deal. And Walkabout Grill in Wenatchee and Leavenworth. Take a walk on the wild side. 1-2 the count on John Morales. A little visit to the mound here by Ronan Haynes for Coach Jeff Zender. Meanwhile, a conversation over in the third base side here between Roger Guzman, their coach for Eisenhower, and his batter John Morales. The pitch here is a ball outside. So maybe a little conversation about being a little more patient at the plate, as Eddie Hamilton has given up a walk and now has gone 2-2 on Morales. Check of the runner at second. The pitch to the plate swung on and a hit towards the gap. First baseman Storley over. Fields throws, and it's in time to get the out. What a play. 2 is right by Seth Storley. Sliding down, backhanding the ball, getting up and throwing over to Eddie Hamilton covering the bag. Gem of a play there. Down to third on the play goes Matt Stump. 4-3 on the putout for the second out here in the fourth, and that'll bring up left fielder Preston White. White with a soft line out to second in his first plate appearance in the second. Pitch to the plate here just misses outside for ball 1. 2-0 Wenatchee on top. Trying to hold on to that lead here. Now with 2 down. And the 1-0 pitch swung on and missed. Trying to chop some high wood there was Preston White. 1-1 the count to the sophomore left fielder for Eisenhower. Breeze rippling the uniforms of the Panthers on defense. This pitch swung on and hit hard but foul down the left field line. Going to head over and hit and skip off of the batter's cages down there. And the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. So Eddie Hamilton, after giving up a walk here, getting a run around to third base, is 1 pitch away from getting out of it unscathed. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. On the way, high and inside for a ball. Count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes, and this wind becoming a little blustery here at the ballpark. 2-2 count on Preston White. Foul back behind the plate, and the count remains 2-2. So Wenatchee, with the big series that will determine the Big 9 regular season championship next week, basically. West Valley. This pitch swung on and grounded towards Storley. He's going to take it to the bag himself, and that will retire the side. A good job by Wenatchee and a big play defensively by Seth Storley to keep Eisenhower, or wait, no, they're going to say safe at first. Safe at first base and a run will score. Hold on here. Apparently, the first baseman Storley didn't step on the bag. He stepped behind the bag. And so now everybody is safe. So a run will score. Oh, it didn't score. What was the call? Because he should have been running home on the play. Hold on. So no run scores. I'm not sure what the call was here. Maybe catcher interference, possibly, on a swing. Anyway, we got runners on the corners and still 2 down. And a toss over to the bag at first and a pickoff move over there. Not quite in time to get stumped. So interesting play. There must have been catcher interference. That's the only thing that would have caused that situation at first base there. This pitch swung on and lifted in the air. That's going to drop down for a base hit, and it will be a 2-1 contest. Josh Holcomb comes up with the ball quickly. And so a RBI here for William Sherry on a soft ball hit to left field, and 2-1, and the inning continues with 2 aboard, and that'll bring up the catcher, Tanner Frost. So give an RBI to Sherry. 2-1 our score. And the pitch by Hamilton is right down the middle for a strike. 0-1 the count on Tanner Frost. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors for Eisenhower. 2 runs, 2 hits, and 1 error for Wenatchee. All happening in this 4th inning. The 0-1 pitch is a curveball missing for a strike. 1-1 the count on Tanner Frost. Frost lined out to right field in his first plate appearance back in the 3rd. White at second, Sherry at first. And the pitch to the plate swung on and fouled, and the count to 1-2 strikes. So I didn't see the umpire raise the hands of a dead ball behind home plate on that play over at first, but must have been the case. And now Eisenhower continuing to bat. This pitch swung on a miss, and that'll do it here for Eisenhower. But they do get a run on a hit and an error, and 2 men are left. We'll head to the bottom of the 4th. Wenatchee now leading it 2-1 over Eisenhower. You're watching Panther Baseball on the NCW Life Channel. Eddie Hamilton, Bryce Peters, and Thomas Blakeney do up here in the 4th for Wenatchee. We got a ball game here, 2-1. Wenatchee on top of the Cadets. Eric Grandstrom with you. We've got Dan Kuntz and Michael Price out running things out there beyond the center field wall. Becca Freemuth taking care of business back in the studios. And most importantly, you joining us on the broadcast today. Thank you very much. A little late start today for the first end of 2 here at Recreation Park. Hamilton 0 for 1. He flew out to center in the 2nd, and the first pitch here by Eddie Rose swung on and a line drive, base hit in the gap. Let's see if he's going to go for 2. Hamilton takes a turn at first. Going to hang right there, though, as the center fielder Justice Dean comes up with it. And a leadoff single for the pitcher to help his own cause here. And that'll bring up the 3rd baseman, Bryce Peters. Peters 0 for 1. He popped up to the shortstop in the 2nd. See if Coach Zender has him lay the bunt down here with the leadoff man aboard to start the 4th. Toss over to the bag at first. Low throw. Nice dig out there on the stop by John Morales. On the throw over by Austin Rowe. Peters back and now turning to bunt. Takes the pitch high and away for a ball. 1-0 the count. Our broadcast today brought to you in part by Neil's Boots and Shoes, Quick Lube and Tune, and AC Checker Taxi Cab. 1-0 count to Bryce Peters, 2-1 ball game. Peters again squaring to bunt. 3rd baseman coming in. He'll pull the bat back and swing, chop it off the mound. Double play chance. No, the ball's going to go too slow. And then a hit first dive into first place. He's safe over there. And the ball goes behind the first base bag. And that'll allow the runner, Eddie Hamilton, to get down to 3rd base on the play. Bryce Peters, I think you give him a base hit on that one. I don't think they would have got him on the throw with that head first slide over there. And then Hamilton moves to third on an errant throw. I believe that was by the second baseman. Speaking of the second baseman, that'll bring up Thomas Blakeney. So Wenatchee with runners on the corners here, nobody out in the fourth. And Blakeney stepping up, who struck out swinging in the second. The pitch by Austin Rowe on the way as he squares to bunt, takes the pitch outside for ball one. Third baseman John McDonald playing even with the bag over there at third. But as Blakeney squared to bunt, he came running in. We'll see what Blakeney does here on a 1-0 pitch. He'll put the bunt down, popped it up on the first base side. It'll hit him in foul territory and be a foul ball. The coach for Eisenhower coming out to say that it hit him while he had 1 foot in fair territory. Now the umpires will discuss it. It did hit him, but it hit him in foul territory. So I believe that's just a foul ball, dead ball. Oh, they're going to call him out. Now Jeff Zender wants to have a word with him. If he was in the field of play and it hit him, that's an out. But the ball was foul, so too was the runner. And they're going to call him out. Wow. So, scoring this becomes a little more interesting. 1 out. Blakeney's out, whatever the case. That'll bring up the designated hitter, Shane Huffaker. Huffaker walked and scored Wenatchee's second run of the ball game back in the third as runners on the corners here. And the pitch to the plate is in for a strike, and the count 0-1. So I guess you'd call that runner interference of the ball on that out by Thomas Blakeney. The pitch here bounces in, gets past the catcher, coming home on the play, and sliding in safely is Andy Hamilton, and Wenatchee now leads it 3-1. So he scores on a wild pitch. Down to second on that wild pitch goes Bryce Peters. And the count even to Huffaker now at a ball and a strike. Curveball here misses outside for a ball 2. 2-1 to count on Huffaker. So Wenatchee gave up a run in the top half of this inning, gets it right back here in the bottom half. Now lead 3-1. Shortstop came in, wanted the pitcher to toss back there to the bag at second. He doesn't do it. This pitch, curveball taken for a strike, and the count even to Huffaker at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Huffaker worked the count full back in his last plate appearance in the third and was able to get a walk out of it and eventually came around and scored on the RBI single by Seth Storley. The 2-2 pitch high for ball 3. So for the second plate appearance in a row, Huffaker is able to work a count full here against Austin Rowe. 1 run on 2 hits and 1 error for Eisenhower. 3 runs, 3 hits and 1 error for Wenatchee. With a runner at second, 1 down, and the pitch to the plate is high and outside for a ball. So a nice job by Huffaker. Was behind in the count and was able to work himself aboard. So runners at first and second here for Wenatchee. We're going to get a little meeting on the mound here by some members of the infield. Meanwhile, Jeff Zender wants to have a little meeting down the third baseline with David Snyder. Special hello to Nate Harris, who is in the area today. Not sure if he's watching the broadcast or not, but Nate, old friend of ours, back in the radio days, now selling advertising in Spokane. Very successful basketball official in Division I and Division II basketball. David Snyder, who's at the plate right now for Wenatchee, happens to be Nate's cousin. Snyder on a sac bunt in his first plate appearance. His pitch swung on and popped up in shallow left center. Who's going to get it? It'll be the left fielder, Preston White. Everybody's going to have to hold. Second out, back to the top of the order here for Wenatchee for shortstop, Ben McKay. McKay 0 for 1. He grounded out to third in the first, walked in the third, got as far as third base. 3-1 Wenatchee on top. Pitch to the plate is a little inside. 1-0 the count. Sixth man to the plate here for Wenatchee in the fourth inning. Off of Austin Rowe. He's thrown a lot of pitches here in this one. Scheduled for 7, game 1 of 2 here today on the NCW Life Channel. This pitch swung on a foul out of play on the first base side. Count evens at 1 ball and 1 strike. So we mentioned next week, Wenatchee will be here at home at Rec Park on Tuesday against West Valley. And then we'll travel for the doubleheader a week from today. And that very well could determine the Big 9 champion right there. That 3-game series. Toss back to the bag at first. The ball got behind the second base bag, but not far enough for Bryce Peters to move anywhere away. So Bryce will hold. Meanwhile, 1-1 the count on McKay. Hope you have family maybe coming into town this weekend for Easter weekend. Timeout call by the home plate umpire. No, he's going to call another balk. Third balk of the game. So Peters will go to third base. Uffaker to second. So a little control issues out on the mound on some wild pitches for Austin Rowe. And also some issues with pausing with his hands together to make sure he sets before he comes towards home plate. And the third balk of the game called by the home plate umpire. So a conversation on the mound here for Gabe Stotts, their pitching coach, who comes out and tries to work with Austin Rowe. Austin is a senior, one of 3 seniors in the lineup here today for Coach Guzman for the IKE Cadets. 1-1 count to McKay. Pitch to the plate is inside for a ball. 2-1. The 2-1 pitch. Curveball misses outside for ball 3. A lot to do if you're a high school kid. You're trying to figure out graduation, trying to figure out where you're going to school next year, get your grades, maintain your grade point, make sure you get your tests done, make sure you get your homework done. Ben McKay issued a walk here, so the base is jammed for Wenatchee with 2 outs, and that'll bring up the center fielder Mikey Thomas. Thomas with a base hit and an RBI and a run scored back in the first. He popped up in foul territory to the catcher in the third. Golden opportunity with 2 outs here for Wenatchee. But then you ask that man on the mound to come out here and pitch against one of the best teams in the state of Washington. 0-1 to count as Thomas takes the first pitch for a strike. And make sure you pause long enough when you're out there on the mound pitching so you don't block runners around the base paths. Wenatchee a chance to blow it open here. 3-1 the score. And the 0-1 pitch swung on and hit on a line right to the second baseman, and that'll be the third out here of the inning. But Wenatchee gets a run on a couple of base hits. 3 men are left. We'll head to the 5th inning. Wenatchee 3, IKE 1. You're watching Panther Baseball on the NCW Life Channel. Welcome back once again to Recreation Park. Wenatchee on top of Eisenhower 3-1. You're watching Panther Baseball today here on the NCW Life Channel. Eric Grandstrom with you as we head to the 5th inning of play, scheduled for 7 here at Game 1. Justin Dean, Drew Cornegie, and John McDonald due up here for Eisenhower in their 5th, the 8th, 9th, and number 1 batters in the lineup. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error for Eisenhower. 3 runs, 3 hits, and 1 error for Wenatchee. And the first pitch by Eddie Hamilton is low and inside for a ball to Justin Dean. 1-0 the count. Dean 0 for 1 in the ball game. Grounded out to short in the third. Hamilton ready, and the 1-0 pitch on the way to the plate is a strike on the outside corner. Evens the count at 1-1 strike. Mentioned a couple of soccer games on the broadcast tomorrow here on the NCW Life Channel. Eastmont and Wenatchee at 2. Eisenhower and Eastmont at 7 tomorrow. This pitch low and outside for a ball. 2-1 the count to Dean. Then on Sunday, soccer starts us off again with that IKE Eastmont rebroadcast Sunday at noon. That'll be followed by Davis and Wenatchee baseball at 2 and 5, and then Issaquah and Wenatchee Valley lacrosse at 7:30. It's all right here on the NCW Life Channel. 2-2 count to Dean. And the pitch by Hamilton swung on a chop slowly, backhanding the ball, knocking it down was Hamilton. He'll pick it up and throw, and it's in time for the out. Nice job fielding his position by Eddie Hamilton. Got a glove out there across his body and knocked it down. 1 out in the 5th brings up the second baseman, Drew Cornegie. Hamilton had a no-hitter through 2 2/3. Swing and a miss by Cornegie, and then Cornegie stepped up in the third and delivered a soft little floater out to center field that dropped in front of Mikey Thomas out there. First hit of the ball game. This pitch swung on and in a hop right to the third baseman, and no hop right in the air to Bryce Peters. So a soft line out, and with 2 down, back to the top of the order here for third baseman John McDonald. McDonald 0 for the game so far, grounded out to short in the first and flew out to center in the third. Takes the first pitch from Eddie Hamilton for a strike. 0-1 the count. Wenatchee softball, we mentioned first place to the Big Nine. It's 6-0 on the season. Swing and a miss here, and the count 0-2 on McDonald. Panthers 6-2 on the season. They're on the road at IKE today for a twin bill. 0-2 pitch swung on and hit off the end of the bat on the ground right to Thomas Blakeney. He'll flip it over to first. Plenty of time to get the out. 4-3 on the putouts, and it's a 3-up, 3-down inning here for IKE in the 5th. We'll head to the bottom of the 5th with Wenatchee leading it by a score of 3-1. You're watching Panther baseball on the NCW Life Channel. To the bottom of the 5th we go for Wenatchee due up Seth Storley, Ronan Haynes, and Eddie Hamilton, the 3-4-5 hitters in the lineup for Coach Jeff Zender. As Wenatchee leads it by a score of 3-1. Wenatchee trying to win their 8th in a row here. After dropping their first 2 games of the season, Wenatchee's reeled off 7 wins in a row. They're 7-0 in Big Nine play, trying to remain atop the standings. And the first pitch by Austin Rowe here in the bottom of the 5th is a curveball missing outside for ball 1-1-0 the count. Seth Storley had a sacrifice fly for an RBI in the first and an RBI on a single in the third. The pitch to him here, curve, strike on the outside corner, 1-1 the count. We're talking about Wenatchee softball, first place in the Big Nine at 6-0. Down at Eisenhower today. This pitch swung on a grounded hard towards the third baseman. Long throw across and can't be dug out over there. Rounding first and heading for second is Seth Storley, and he'll be in to the bag safely. It'll be an error on the throw on John McDonald, the third baseman, on that long throw across. Hard hit ball, but right to him. All he had to do was make that throw across. Couldn't make it. So runner in scoring position for Wenatchee brings up the catcher, Ronan Haynes. Haynes 0 for 2 in the ball game. Flew out to right in the first and grounded to second in the third. Chance to pick up an RBI possibly here for Wenatchee. On top, 3-1 are the Panthers over the IKE Cadets. Pitch to the plate is a little outside for ball 1-1-0 the count. Well, aside from the broadcast on the television, you can also pick us up with the stream online at ncwlife.com. Right on the top menu bar, you'll see the little indication, watch live. Curveball in for a strike here, and the count even to Haynes at 1-1 strike. So you could stream us wherever you are in the world. There's a little kind of a thing with Google Chrome. I'll talk to you about that. 1-1 to count on Haynes here, and I look back to second, so diving back on that carpet is Seth Storley out there. The 1-1 pitch on the way to the plate, swung on a hit off of the pitcher's leg, and he goes down on the play. It goes out to the second baseman, and hurting hard is Austin Rowe out there on a deflected ball off the back of his right leg. Ouch, or his left leg. Looks like his left leg where he is hurting. So the put out on Haynes, meanwhile, is a 1-4-3, 1 out. Down to third goes Seth Storley, and right now the concern for that man down on the play, Austin Rowe. That hit hard, hit the ground once, but skipped right up and just clanged off of the back of his left lower leg. So an injury timeout here on the field. And our injury timeout brought to you by Confluence Health, Wenatchee's premier treatment center for all sports-related injuries. Confluence Health helping us sponsor the broadcast here on the NCAA Life Channel. So we hope that's a matter of it just hurts really bad and not a serious injury here for Austin Rowe. The training staff for Wenatchee comes out. They've got a bag of ice in hand. And head coach Roger Guzman will get his assistant Gabe Stotts out there and see if they can get Austin at least to a knee so they can help him up as he gets up to his right knee and does not want to put any weight on that left leg. And sometimes if that hits you in the soft tissue in the calf, yeah, you would want to stay down. So he does not want to put any weight on that at all. So we will get a new pitcher, and the umpires will allow him to warm up. So whatever the case is here, we're going to go ahead and take a break here, timeout, and an injury timeout on the field. Again, brought to you by Confluence Health, Wenatchee's premier treatment center for all sports-related injuries. They will go ahead and lift the pitcher up so he doesn't have to put any weight on that leg. And we'll take a break and come back. 60-second timeout here on the broadcast. We are in the bottom of the fifth. Wenatchee with a runner aboard and one down. We'll come back after this 60-second timeout. You're watching Panther Baseball on the NCAA Life Channel. So our injury timeout on the line drive that came up and clipped the back of the leg of the pitcher, Austin Rowe. They have carried him into the dugout for Eisenhower. It looks like they're going to get somebody to take him over to the hospital nearby. And that injury timeout here in the game brought to you again here on the broadcast by Confluence Health, Wenatchee's premier treatment center for all sports-related injuries. And kind of appropriately positioned here is Recreation Park, just a few blocks away from Confluence Health and the hospital nearby. The new pitcher into the ballgame here for Eisenhower, and the injury replacement, Jake Ryan, will take over. So Austin Rowe, 4 1/3, and is responsible for the runner at third base right now, Seth Storley, who got aboard on an error. The scoreboard out there reads 1 run, 2 hits, 2 errors for Eisenhower, 3 runs, 3 hits, and 1 error for Wenatchee. I've got on my score sheet 4 hits for Wenatchee, so we'll have to check on that for you. Nonetheless, ready to go here, and Eddie Hamilton will step up with a chance to bring in yet another run for Wenatchee with 1 down here and a runner at third base. And the first pitch by Jake Ryan is swung on a chop foul of the third baseline, and the count 0-1 on Eddie Hamilton. 1 for 2 in the ball game, flew out to center in the second and had a base hit and scored a run in the fourth. Wenatchee leading IKE 3-1 here. We're in the bottom of the fifth. This pitch swung on and fisted in the air to shallow right field. Right fielder coming in on the run will make a basket catch, and his throw home is not in time. Seth Storley scores on the play. That's a tough one to score from, and a ball hit to shallow right field as William Sherry came up with it and had a strong enough arm to get it all the way home, but a good tag by Seth Storley at third base. So give a sacrifice fly and an RBI to Eddie Hamilton for the second out here in the fifth. Base is cleared now for third baseman Bryce Peters. I gave Peters a base hit back in the fourth, and I wonder if that's the difference here in the scoring on the scoreboard out there. So I've got a 1 for 2, but that's, of course, my book, not the official book. But Wenatchee on top now, 4-1 over Eisenhower. This pitch swung on and hit the mile high in the infield. And the first baseman calling for it had to adjust with a breeze here, and John Morales able to make the catch for the out. That'll do it for Wenatchee here in the fifth. We'll head to the sixth inning of play. Wenatchee on top of Eisenhower, 4-1. You're watching Wenatchee baseball today here on the NCW Life Channel. To the bottom. Thanks for joining us here on the NCW Life Channel. Hunter Meyer, Matt Stump, and John Morales do up for Eisenhower, and they're part of the sixth inning as we're in the top of the inning. Eddie Hamilton continues to deal out of the mound here for Wenatchee. Panthers up by a score of 4-1 in game one here. We'll take a break, get you NCW Life Channel news in between the ball games, and get you game two shortly thereafter. The pitch on the way here to start the sixth is swung on and fouled off the screen in front of the third base dugout over on the Wenatchee side. 0-1 the count on Hunter Meyer. He's 0 for 2, popped up to the second baseman in the first and grounded out to short in the fourth. The 0-1 pitch on the way to the plate, swung on to chop back over the mound. Shortstop in on the ball. Ben McKay will field and throw, and it's in time for the out. So 1 up, 1 down for Eisenhower. And you go back to the fourth inning on an RBI by William Sherry. And since then, 5 in a row retired by Eddie Hamilton. That'll bring up Matt Stump, who's the designated hitter. He's 0 for 1, struck out in the first. And this pitch hits him on the first pitch to him. So runner aboard for Eisenhower. Shaking it off down there at first base is Matt Stump, and that'll bring up the first baseman, John Morales. Morales 0 for 2, popped up to second in the second, grounded out to second in the fourth. Steps up in the left-handed batter's box here, and a toss over to the bag at first. Close, but not quite on the play. So Morales looking for his first hit and Eisenhower's third hit off of Eddie Hamilton. This pitch, curveball, strike, called. 0-1 the count. Hamilton plenty of confidence in what he can throw out there, starting the batter off with a curveball in there for a called strike. The 0-1 pitch to the plate, swung on and hit past the pitcher right to the second baseman. He'll flip it to second for 1. The relay to first is not in time. Nice stretch over there by Seth Storley. The ball on a hop to Thomas Blakeney. He flipped it to Ben McKay. They get the force out at second, so Morales aboard on the fielder's choice 4-6. So 2 down here in the sixth, and that'll bring up the left fielder Preston White.
Number 5, Preston White.
White is swinging on the first pitch and on a ground right to Bryce Peters, and Bryce Peters this time easily throws him out at first base, and that'll do it here for Eisenhower in the sixth. To the bottom of the sixth we go. 4-1 Wenatchee on top. You're watching Panther baseball today here on the NCW Life Channel. To the bottom. Thomas Blakeney, Shane Huffaker, and David Snyder, bottom third of the order, due up here for Wenatchee in the bottom of the sixth inning as the Panthers lead the IKE Cadets 4-1 here today on the NCW Life Channel. Our broadcast brought to you in part by Walkabout Grill in Wenatchee and Leavenworth. Take a walk on the wild side. Global Car Care, Wenatchee's friendly expert auto repair specialists. Confluence Health, safe, high-quality care with compassion. And Leonard Evans Used Car Superstore. Well, the name means a great deal. First pitch swung on and hit in the air, but over chasing it down is Preston White, the left fielder. So 1 out in the sixth, and that'll bring up the designated hitter, Shane Huffaker. Huffaker's had the eye at the plate so far, worked himself in a couple of full count walks, has scored a run. Wenatchee with 4 on the board here today. Scored in the first inning. Pitch to the plate. Here's a strike on the outside corner. 0-1 the count to Huffaker. Seeing Jake Ryan out there on the mound for the first time. Ryan pitching in replacement of Austin Rowe, who took a line drive off the back of his left leg. This pitch is in there for a strike, and the count 0-2 on Huffaker. Wenatchee getting a runner aboard. Mikey Thomas with a single in the first and scored on a sacrifice fly by Seth Storley. That put Wenatchee up 1-0. This pitch cued off the end of the bat on the first base side. The count stays at 0-2. Wenatchee added to their lead with an RBI single by Storley in the third, scoring Shane Huffaker. Eisenhower came back and scored a run in the top of the fourth. Here's a ground ball to the shortstop. Low throw, dug out, and an out recorded. Close play, but Hunter Meyer able to make the play at short, get it over to John Morelas in time. So 6-3 on the putout. 2 down here in the sixth, and brings up the number 9 man in the order for Coach Jeff Zender, David Snyder. Snyder with a sacrifice bunt in the third, and he flew out to left in the fourth. And the first pitch to him here is a curve strike, 0-1 the count. The Cadets with a base hit and an RBI for William Sherry. That scored Matt Stump in the fourth. That made it 3-1 at that point as this ball bounces off of the catcher and goes back to the backstop. Wenatchee got that run back, though, in the fourth with a leadoff single by Eddie Hamilton. He scored on a wild pitch. Wenatchee adding one more run in the fifth and lead it here 4-1. This pitch swung on a hit foul and out of play down the first base side, and the count a ball and 2 strikes now on David Snyder. Again, our first game scheduled for 7. We are in the bottom of the sixth. So one more opportunity for Eisenhower in the 7th frame against Eddie Hamilton. The 1-2 pitch on the way to Snyder bounces in outside for a ball, evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. By the way, due up for Ike in their part of the 7th. It'll be the 6, 7, and 8 batter in the lineup. Sherry, Frost, and Dean. The 2-2 pitch on the way to the plate is low and outside for a ball, and the count now full to Snyder at 3-2. We're talking about watching us online at ncwlife.com. If you use Google Chrome, you go to our Watch Live page. Sometimes you click on that arrow, it doesn't happen. Another ball that is hit foul by David Snyder. Count remains at 3 balls and 2 strikes. If you click on the bottom of that rectangle, then it will work for you. So just a little tip if you want to stream it online. This pitch swung on and hit foul, this time up the third base line. So I honestly paid no attention to Dan Kuntz's forecast this morning. Of course, paying attention to Dan Kuntz, that's the whole thing in and of itself. This pitch swung on, hit in the air to shallow left field. It's going to drop down for a base hit. So David Snyder with his first hit of the ball game. With 2 down here in the 6th, and that'll hit us back to the top of the order for shortstop Ben McKay. McKay got out in the first on a ground ball to third, and then walked in the third and walked in the fourth. But I didn't see if Dan Kuntz was talking about wind in our forecast today. We certainly do have a little stiff breeze blowing from right to left here at the ballpark. Close play on a pickoff play over at first, but back safely is Ben Snyder. So some nice sunshine, but reminding us that there's still snow on the hills around us with this breeze. It's brisk. This pitch high and inside, delayed steal from first to second, and in safely is David Snyder. Ball high for ball 1 to Ben McKay. Gives Snyder a stolen base. Wenatchee still trying to be aggressive on the base paths with a 3-run lead here with 2 outs in the 6th inning for Coach Jeff Zender. The 1-0 pitch to the plate, high for ball 2. After that series next week with West Valley, Wenatchee will take on Moses Lake in 3 games to end the month of April, then start May right around Apple Blossom time with its 3-game series against Eastmont. 3-0 the count, meanwhile, to Ben McKay as Jake Ryan continues to pitch in relief, and this pitch misses high for a walk. So runners at first and second for Wenatchee, and that'll bring up center fielder Mikey Thomas. But first, a visit to the mound by the pitching coach, Gabe Stotts. Gives us a chance to remind you that our broadcast today brought to you in part by Neil's Boots and Shoes, Quick Lube and Tune, and AC Checker Taxi Cab. Appreciate you joining us here on the NCW Life Channel. Our broadcast today, first of 2 games on the television station live here from the Wenatchee Valley. Tomorrow we've got soccer, Eastmont and Wenatchee at 2, followed by Eastmont and IKE at 7. That same Eastmont-IKE game Sunday at noon. And then Wenatchee doubleheader baseball with Davis at 2 and 5. And then that'll be followed by Issaquah and Wenatchee Valley Lacrosse from last Saturday. That's at 7:30 Sunday right here on the NCW Life Channel. We're back with more soccer live next Tuesday at Eastmont as they'll take on Davis. And then next Friday, a week from tonight, it'll be Eastmont and Wenatchee Part 2. Soccer from Eastmont Stadium. Pitch low and outside for a ball to Mikey Thomas, 1-0 the count to Thomas. RBI single and a run scored in the first. Popped in foul territory to the catcher in the third and lined out to the second baseman in the fourth. So 1 for 3 games so far for Mikey Thomas. The pitch to him is taken for a strike, and the count even to Thomas, a 1 ball and 1 strike. I think this morning while I was driving around town, I could see that there was some fresh snow that fell last night up in Mission Ridge. So, yeah, it's still reminding us. A little chilly. 1-1 pitch is swung on and fouled away, and the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. Little pieces of refuse tickle across the artificial grass here in the infield as the wind whips the uniform top of Jake Ryan out there on the mound. This pitch swung on and lifted in the air to shallow right. Going to be a long run. Right fielder going out. Can't get to it. It falls. Run's going to score. And everybody else going to be safe on the RBI single by Mikey Thomas. And they give an assist to the wind out there. William Sherry came running in. Long way for him to go. Drew Carnegie, the second baseman, going out. Just could not get to it. And on the play, David Snyder will score from second base. It's now 5-1 Wenatchee on top. Nice insurance run there for the Panthers. McKay ends up down at third base on the play. That'll bring up first baseman Seth Storley. Catcher Tanner Frost comes from behind the plate to motion to his infield, what kind of defense they want to set up here in case the runner from first goes. Storley up. He's got a run and a couple of RBIs and a look over to third and a look back at first. Runner goes, and swinging and fouling the ball back behind the plate was Storley. He could have squared that one up. Maybe 2 more runs score for Wenatchee. 5-1, Wenatchee on top. 1 run, 2 hits, and 2 errors for Eisenhower. 5 runs, 5 hits, and 1 error for Wenatchee. As we're in the bottom of the 6th inning. The 0-1 pitch to the plate, curveball, strike, called, and the count goes to 0-2. It seems like it took forever to get things going with the season with the snow still around here in north central Washington. This pitch swung on and hit on a hop right back to the pitcher. Ryan will underhand to the bag at first, and that'll do it for Wenatchee. But they do get a run on a couple of base hits, and 2 men left on. We'll head to the 7th. One more try for Eisenhower in this one. It's Wenatchee on top 5-1. You're watching Panther Baseball on the NCW Life Channel. Eddie Hamilton going to try to close it out here for Wenatchee in game 1 as he has a 2-hitter going as we head to the bottom or the top half of the 7th inning. William Sherry, Tanner Frost, and Justice Dean going to try to have a say in that as Wenatchee now leads at 5-1 over Eisenhower. 1 run, 2 hits, 2 errors for Ike. 5 runs, 5 hits, and 1 error for Wenatchee. Here in game 1, the Panthers trying to hang on and win their 8th in a row. The first pitch to Sherry inside and hit him. Not the way you want to start the closing inning here if you're Eddie Hamilton. So his second batter hit by a pitch. And that'll bring up the catcher, Tanner Frost. Frost 0 for 2. He lined out to right in the third and struck out swinging in the fourth. Defense on the infield looking for the double play ball here. First pitch to him is low and inside for a ball. 1-0 the count. Wind continues to briskly blow from right to left here at Recreation Park, or if you're watching it on television, from your left to right. Toss over to the bag. It's not in time. Seth Storley trying to hold Sherry close to the bag over there. In a 4-run ball game. 1-0 the count to Tanner Frost. Pitch to the plate is low, bouncing in. The runner from first goes, and not able to come up with it is Ronan Haynes, and Haynes looked like he maybe pulled a muscle a little bit trying to scramble for that baseball. So the pitch low, down to second goes William Sherry in a wild pitch, and count 2-0 now to Tanner Frost. Hamilton is set. And Eddie's pitch to the plate bounces off of the catcher and goes all the way to the backstop. And another wild pitch will move the runner even closer to scoring position. And now Eddie Hamilton wants to have a talk with his catcher, and the infield will come in too in a 5-1 ball game and a 3-0 count to Tanner Frost. Our broadcast today brought to you by Walkabout Grill in Wenatchee and Leavenworth. Take a walk on the wild side. Leonard Evans Used Car Superstore, where the name means a great deal. Global Car Care, Wenatchee's friendly expert auto repair specialist, and Confluence Health, safe, high-quality care with compassion. Now Jeff Zender's going to come out on the mound here after the defense had a little meeting. Wanted to make sure that Eddie's feeling all right. Meanwhile, Roger Guzman having a conversation with his hitters in foul territory on the third base side. Justice Dean would be due up next here for Eisenhower. Tanner Frost with a pitch count in his favor with a runner at third base. William Sherry got aboard on a hit batsman. And since then, Eddie Hamilton kind of lost all control. 3 balls in a row. Here comes the pitch on the way to the plate, is low for ball 4. So 2 batters have been faced by Eddie Hamilton here in the 7th, and he has not thrown a strike yet. So runners on the corners for Eisenhower, and suddenly this game gets a little more tense in the top of the 7th. Wenatchee on top 5-1. Justice Dean now steps up. He's 0 for the day on a ground out to short, and he hit one back to the pitcher in the 5th. And a look at first and a toss back. Oh, the ball goes away, and that's going to score a run. So an error going to be charged on Eddie Hamilton on the throw over to first base on a pickoff attempt. So E1 as the run scores. It's now 5-2. Down to second goes Tanner Frost. And still nobody out here in the 7th inning. Pitch to the plate is low and outside for a ball. 1-0 the count. And if I'm Coach Jeff Zender, I got somebody warming up, and it looks like a right-hander is warming up down in the bullpen. 1-0 the count. This pitch finally in for a strike. So the 6th pitch of the inning, finally a strike here for Eddie Hamilton. The pitch swung on and grounded towards the shortstop. Fielding it cleanly is Ben McKay, and his throw to first is in time for the out. So 6-3 on the putout for the first out here of the 7th. Down to third on the play goes Tanner Frost. That'll bring up second baseman Drew Cornegie. Cornegie is 1 for 2. Base hit in the 3rd, and A soft line out to the third baseman in the fifth, and the first pitch taken for a strike here by Cornegie. So maybe Eddie Hamilton has found himself once again out there on the mound for Wenatchee. That's curveball, misses high for a ball. 1-1. 5-2 the score. 1 run is in. Eisenhower and a bouncing ball outside. Nice stop on the backhand by Ronan Haynes. The count goes to 2-1 as Eddie Hamilton came running in towards home plate, thinking possibly Tanner Frost would break from third. This pitch swung on and got the umpire. Looked like it hit off the mask and got him in the shoulder. And so now Ronan Haynes going to give the umpire a little bit of a break. And the count even now to Cornegie at 2 balls and 2 strikes. So the box score up there reads 2 runs, 2 hits, 2 errors for Eisenhower, 5 runs, 5 hits, and 2 errors for Wenatchee. As we're 1 down and 1 run in here in the 7th. And a count 2-2 on Drew Cornegie. Ronan Haynes giving the umpire a chance to shake that one off on a foul ball that got him. And here we go with the 2-2 pitch. It swung on and chopped back past the mound. Second baseman will come in, field and throw, and it's in time to get the out, but on the play, Tanner Frost will score from third base. So now it's 5-3. 4-3 on the putouts. Give an RBI on the ground out to Drew Cornegie. And back to the top of the order here for John McDonald. 2 down in the 7th. The first pitch to McDonald is inside for a ball. McDonald 0 for 2, flew out, or 0 for 3 that is, grounded out to short in the first, flew out to center in the third, and grounded out to second in the 5th. This pitch swung on and lifted in the air to shallow right, and right there will be David Snyder for the out, and that'll do it. Sigh of relief here for the partisan crowd at Recreation Park as Wenatchee holds on for the 5-3 win. So give the win on the mound to Eddie Hamilton. Got a little shaky, but he's able to hold on and get it. Meanwhile, for Wenatchee offensively, a couple of RBIs by Mikey Thomas and a couple of hits. And Wenatchee gets the victory to win their 8th in a row here, 5-3. We're going to head right into the newsroom, get you the latest NCW Life Channel news, and then we'll come back with Game 2 from Recreation Park straight ahead. You've been watching Panther Baseball on the NCW Life Channel.